The President's State of the Nation address last week made it patently clear that the ANC does not regard issues facing young South Africans as significant or urgent. In his speech, the President did not present a single plan devoted to improving the lives of South Africa's youth. He made no mention of basic education, the fees must fall movement, or youth unemployment, the three most significant issues facing young South Africans today. It is alarming in a country where the population is largely made up of young people that the President would not devote a significant portion of the speech to this sector of society. This shows a President that is not only completely out of touch, but simply does not care about young people. The only time the President mentioned young people was when he asked us to register to vote. This is how the ANC sees young people, as voting cattle, and not a sector of society whose views need to be taken seriously and needs catered for. Millions of young South Africans look to you, Mr. President, to provide certainty and hope for the future. Young South Africans yearn for bold, innovative, comprehensive, and workable plans to move the country forward. Your speech, sadly, provided none of this for our young people. I am sure that it has become clear, even for ANC voters, that the only way in which a better South Africa will be achieved is not only when President Zuma is gone, but the whole of the ANC. Fellow young people, there is no Messiah that will bring change to the ANC. Not no Ramaphosa, not no Dlamini Zuma, not no one. It is time to vote the ANC, the whole of the ANC, out of power. Honorable Speaker, it is absolutely possible to build a better South Africa for our young people. A South Africa where the extraordinary potential of all our people is realized. One where the structural inequalities caused by colonialism and apartheid are dismantled. A South Africa that is dynamic and vibrant and a leader in the developing world. A South Africa we can all be proud of. But before we provide the solutions to our young people, Honorable Speaker, we need to understand their problems. What are the conditions that our young people are living under? According to the UCT's 2015 Child Gauge, the spectre of poverty haunts South Africa's children before they even leave the womb. Half of our young people, Honorable Speaker, live in poverty. This poverty is experienced not only in the form of financial deprivation, but also lack of access to basic services, healthcare, quality education, and protection from crime. Last year's Fees Must Fall movement sharply demonstrated the problems of access to higher education. The insensitive and out-of-touch comments from some ANC leaders at the legitimate concerns of our students were absolutely disgraceful. Some, like the president of the ANC Women's League, Batabile Dlamini, claimed that the Fees Must Fall movement was funded by foreign forces, and others, like the ANC Youth League president, 34.9 Colin Maine, accused students of treason. The DA today stands in support of all students that have called for additional funding to be allocated to universities. No South African should be denied the opportunity to pursue tertiary education because they do not have money. The manner in which our universities have been underfunded is one of post-apartheid South Africa's greatest tragedies. A greater tragedy is how 361 million has been pilfered from historically disadvantaged institutions to fund last year's moratorium on fee increases. The ANC really governs sometimes like young black lives do not matter. The DA looks forward to the announcement on university funding by Minister Gordhan as promised by President Zuma in his State of the Nation address. However, it is unfathomable how this funding will be found, given that the only budget cuts that were announced during SONA were minor and would do very little to meet the estimated 7.8 billion needed to cater for the so-called missing middle. If you really want to fund funding for universities, Mr. President, you would cut your number of ministries to 15. That already is 4.2 billion. Put your money where your mouth is, cut the number of ministries, and provide that money to universities. The next higher education crisis looming, Honorable Speaker, is at our TVET colleges. The syllabi at these universities are generally out of date, markers are unqualified, and exam papers are largely inconsistent. It is a disgrace, Minister Nzimande, that over 100,000 students are still waiting for their certificates, and with some students waiting since 2013. Fix our TVET institutions before it is too late. Another key problem facing young people, Honorable Speaker, is unemployment. The unemployment rate amongst our young people is more than twice that of adults. In 2015, as many as 5.4 million young people were unemployed, with young women forming the bulk of this. Post-recession increases in employment for adults between the years 2011 and 2014 were not matched by equivalent increases amongst the youth. In fact, in 2011 and 2013, youth unemployment increased, and it was young black youth that suffered the most as a result. The ANC governs like young black lives do not matter. These, Mr. President, are, in a nutshell, just some of the problems that face South Africa's young people. There are many, many more. The solutions to these challenges are really quite simple. It requires political will, dedicated leadership, laser-like focus, and having the right plan. The DA's 5-point plan for jobs is an all-encompassing plan which, if implemented, would not only create employment, but also result in increased investment in energy, transport, and ICT, give more people education and skills, radically reform the labor regime, provide direct incentives for job creation, and create a nation of entrepreneurs. Through implementing these and other policies, the Western Cape is now the best place to live if you are a young person. At 29.9, the DA-run Western Cape has the lowest unemployment rate in the country compared to provinces such as the Northern and Eastern Cape, which have rates of 45.1 and 41% respectively. The Western Cape has the highest absorption rate of people into the economy at 43.2% and the lowest amount of young discouraged work seekers at 1.2%. This means that more young people are finding employment in the Western Cape than anywhere in the country and have more hope of doing so. By focusing on improving the quality of education, the Western Cape achieved a pass rate of 84.7 last year, the highest in the country. It is the only province that had an improved pass rate and where every single learner who passed matric passed with access to higher education. The Western Cape is not only better in terms of education and employment, but the lives at home for our young people are better than other provinces. According to the 2014 non-financial census of municipalities, the Western Cape has the highest proportion of households benefiting from free basic water, electricity, sewage and sanitation, as well as solid waste management. It is therefore no wonder that thousands of young South Africans will for the first time vote DA in their municipalities this year, and the ANC stands to lose support as the old age home that it is. The DA governs well and it governs better. The ANC has shown through its President's State of the Nation address that it is an out-of-touch old age home that does not care about young people, is completely out of touch, and is on its way out. Goodbye.